My feet so fat I can't get into my roller skates. And my neck and chest don't fit anymore. Look at this. It's a stick up. It don't work. I do this at a bank robbery, I look like a fool.
Oh, frickin' meatwad. So hilarious. Oh, good old Aqua Team. But what's up, pups? Welcome to another episode of the Power Up Podcast. It's a podcast that likes to take a gander at pop culture, keep ourselves up to date of what's happening in the old pop culture field, where we make comments about what's good, what's bad, what's ugly, hell, even what's spiritual when it comes to it. I like to throw in what I've been learning about scripture in my studies. Always fun. But we have made it to Friday. If you like the show, if you're new, you enjoy it, make sure to hit the subscribe button, punch that thumbs up, turn on notifications to get notified when I go live. We usually do a show Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. And then on Tuesdays and Thursdays and over the weekend, we do gaming. I've been playing Bayonetta. Really fun game, first time. So super excited about that. We finished Blue Dragon not too long ago. That's a good one. And we've been playing Dragon Ball Sparking. But yes, got some intriguing articles here. So let's go ahead and hop right into it. So we're starting off with good old Silent Hill. Whoops. I like how it says ending right there. Here, let me, you would think it would capture it. There we go. I mean, I still use it, so that's exactly, let's see. Didn't we start, like, I accidentally had it on the ending beginning too, and then you see that. But, oh well. Goes to show how, like, off I am today. But anyway, Silent Hill 2 Remake. Apparently, the Silent Hill 2 Essentials mod increases up to 0.31% performance. So this caught my eye. This was from Tech for Gamers. And it says, Silent Hill 2 Remake is a horror game developed by Team Silent and published by Konami. The latest mod, Silent Hill 2 Essentials, significantly improves the game's performance, bringing up to 31% to the PC remake. When comparing the fighting in the two games, we found that the game significantly improved the graphics and even the gameplay, while yet retaining the essence and suffocating fog of the original. Yeah, the Silent Hill 2 remake didn't really have that fog I noticed. Silent Hill 2 remake is not flawless, though, and one of its main flaws is that it has frequent FPS decreases. I would also say that one of the major flaws of Silent Hill 2 is that they did not do the characters justice. And they censored stuff. And they've changed stuff. Eliminating stuttering entirely from the Silent Hill 2 remake necessitates significant compromises, resulting in a game that only operates at 30 frames per second. For this, there's a mod on Nexus Mods called Silent Hill 2 Essentials that can increase the frame rate up to 31% with almost little graphic quality loss, or up to 54% if we are prepared to lose graphics. And you can download the mod from Nexus Mods. So to accomplish all this, the Unreal Engine 5 graphics engine has been modified in a number of ways that directly impact the game. Among the adjustments are the removal effects like SSR that causes visual artifacts in the game, a decrease in ghosting or particularly when moving leaves are involved, and faster loading times. When moving leaves? Like plants, I'm assuming? Quality of all rescaling systems has also been increased, and frame generation has been provided as an option. If we compare the original game to the mod version, we can see that the left one is the original game, and the right one is the mod version. These images clearly show the difference with our naked eye. The chromatic aberration and depth of field of the original game have been eliminated, and sharpness has been greatly increased. You can download different presets from the games according to your needs. So, I believe they said OG game here. Okay. Well, there you go. I mean, it's cool that they're making mods for the game. So all that's left is to, and I believe there's already mods out there that like make the people like what they should have been, like based on their concept art. Then that would have been fine. But nope. They had to bastardize it in one way, shape, or form. So, credit card companies, according to Niche Gamer, continue to censor Japanese artists. So, credit card companies are continuing what appears to be a coordinated effort to censor Japanese artists. The most recent targets have been Ken Akamatsu's Manga Library Z. I was going to say Liberty. Library Z, a website which hosted old and out of print manga as a method of archival and ad revenue sharing with artists, as well as Melon Books, a Japanese book retailer. Manga Library Z is being shut down entirely, unlike most websites targeted by payment processors. This time, even Japanese credit card companies joined in, according to Akamatsu. So after the credit card companies pulled out, the only active form of payment processing left to them was BitCash, which couldn't sustain the site. The decision payment processors made came after an ultimatum which criticized Manga Libraries Z's handling of adult content on the site. Similar ultimatums have forced sites such as Pixiv and even Patreon in the West to harshly censor or restrict access to content based on geographical location. Yeah, censorship is bullshit. And these companies are bullshit. Melon Books will thankfully be able to process customers using GCB and American Express. However, Visa and MasterCard, the usual suspects for these type of censorship, will no longer be an accepted form of payment for the retailer. Unlike Manga Library Z, Melon Books didn't share the particulars behind their change in policies. Payment processors such as Visa and MasterCard have been implementing what appear to be economic sanctions against adult artwork for years, despite no apparent legal obligation to do so. Speculatively, their decision may be informed by rhetoric accusing such artwork as contributing to, quote, violence against women and girls. Yeah, we saw that like with the what is it? The United Nations. Yeah, the UN affiliated committee. A bunch of garbage, which is what one UN affiliated committee had to say about anime and manga earlier this year. Well, thanks. Maybe things will change now that good old Trump is in, and he can, at least for the US, tell him to go piss off. I mean, he's already promising to do a bunch of stuff. I mean, we'll see what happens, but he's already coming in hot, you know? I'm going to enjoy it. It's going to be great. Fantastic. Yeah, but fuck these credit card companies. It sucks. Because, you know, really, at the end of the day, it's none of their business, really, in terms of just process the account, you know? And do your thing. Because, I don't know, because at one point, like, it's one thing to obviously know, like, when, like, some, you know, like, trafficking and stuff like that. That's one thing. But, like, adult work and stuff like that. I mean, me, I don't care, like, in the end. But, yeah. But, you know, it's just, censorship is just 100% garbage. And it needs to be fixed. So feel bad for Japanese artists, especially, and plus it's like, what are they like this whole excuse of like the violence against women and girls bullshit, like, is absolutely ridiculous. They can't define it. They don't know what the hell they're talking about. And of course, it's a specific ideology too. I think we've read this one already because it's could impact on gender and sex-based violence. Because usually the people who are so concerned about this stuff, you usually find out that they're the ones that are actually participating in it. So it's like absolutely hilarious because usually it's at the end of the day the projection from them onto others. So jumping over to Video Game Chronicles, Sony president reflects on why Concord failed. So Hiroki Tokoki discusses what went wrong and how PlayStation can learn from it. Well, I mean, I can give you an idea of what went wrong. I can tell you, but let's see what he has to say. Let's see if they've learned something. Sorry, checking my connection here. All right. So Sony president, COO, and CFO Hiroki Toki has shared his views on why Concord was a failure. So during a Q&A session following its latest financial earnings call, Sony management was asked numerous questions about the live service game, which was shut down 11 days after launch. Totoki explained that the company's foray into live service games is still a learning process, and that it had to take lessons from what happened with Concord. Currently, we are still in the process of learning, he said, via an interpreter. And basically, with regards to new IP, of course, you don't know the results until you actually try it. Oh, well, everyone told you it was going to fail miserably, because anytime you base anything on DEI and woke ideology, it's going to fail. Like, up front, like in your face, preaching sort of thing. It will fail. And lo and behold, it did. In less than 11 days. Bam. And I am so happy that it failed, because a perfect prime example to showcase on why this shit doesn't work. And it will never work. And that all the things that they would, all the things that these activists and weeds inside of the video game industry try to point out when they'll, because they'll point back and be like, oh, well, back then it was this, and this. It's like, well, no. First of all, it's not your definition. Like, we know what you guys do. You guys change the definitions all the time. So you're trying to label something that was from the past to today's definitions that you've guys rewritten. That's, number one, bullshit. I see through it, so no. Number two, all of this diversity and DEI stuff that you are heavily pushing was already established back in the day, and it worked because it wasn't forced. Any problems that there were, you pretty much talked about it behind the scenes and left the product alone, because that's how it should be, right? So for us, continuing here, for our reflection, we probably need to have a lot of gates, including user testings or internal evaluation. Well, the internal evaluation should have been, yeah, this game's going to fucking fail because it's catering to a very small group of freaks and weirdos, and the timing of such gates. And then we need to bring them forward, and we should have done those gates much earlier than we did. Also, we have a Siloed organization. So going beyond the boundaries of those organizations in terms of development and also sales, I think could have been much smoother. And then going forward in our own title and in third-party titles, we do have many different windows, and we want to be able to select the right and optimal window so that we can deploy them on our own platform without cannibalization, so that we can maximize our performance in terms of title launches. That's all I have. I love that. Just that's all I have. Earlier in the call, Sony Senior Vice President for Finance and IR, Shadahiko Hayakawa, noted that the difference between the success of Helldivers 2 and the failure of Concord, well, I mean, successful up until a point, and then they started nerfing stuff and doing stuff, and then everyone fell off of that, because it's like you guys had it perfect, and then you just done goofed. We launched 2 live service games this year, he explained. Helldivers 2 was a huge hit, while Concord ended up being shut down. We gained a lot of experience and learned a lot from both. Have you? Have you really? We intended to share the lessons learned from our successes and failures across our studios, including in the areas of title development, management, as well as the process of continually adding expanded content and scaling the service after its release, so as to strengthen our development management system. We intend to build on an optimum title portfolio during the current mid-range plan period that combines single players which are our strengths and which have a higher predictability of becoming hits due to our proven IP with live service games that pursue upside while taking on a certain amount of risk upon release. There you go. Oh, yeah, I saw this too. That kind of caught my eye. I want to see this. Let's read this. Macaulay Culkin joining season 2 of Amazon's Fallout show. Apparently, he's reported to play a crazy genius type character. So, according to Deadline, citing sources familiar with the matter, the actor, best known for his role in the Home Alone series, and the Page Master and The Good Son, will join the series when it returns for its second season. Deadline sources say Culkin is, quote, said to be playing a crazy genius type character. So Fallout's first season was released earlier this year. It scored a Rotten Tomatoes rating of 94% and an audience score of 90%. The first season, which stars Ella Purnell, Walton Goggins, and Aaron Moten, was shot mostly in New York, with some additional filming taking place in Utah. So based on the greatest video game series of all time, Fallout was a story of have and have-nots in a world which there's almost nothing left to have, reads an official description of the show. So 200 years after the apocalypse, the gentle denizens of luxury fallout shelters are forced to return to their irradiated hellscape their ancestors left behind and are shocked to discover an incredibly complex, gleeful world and highly violent universe waiting for them. No time frame was given for the production or release of the second season of Fallout. The success of the Fallout TV show led to a massive increase in sales of the series. I always liked Macaulay Culkin. I mean, I don't know if I'm going to go out of my way to watch season 2 or let alone even watch Fallout in general. But that just sparked my interest. And I like the fact that this is straight up from the Angry Video Game Nerd. I like how they took a scene from Cinemassacre to like use as a picture. I just think it's funny. Hey, I mean, I snag pictures from the sites all the time. So I'm not one to, you know, I'm no better. I just think it's funny though. All right, so we have some updates here on the Nintendo and Palworld lawsuit. Nintendo and the Pokemon Company seek an injunction and damages from Palworld developer Pocket Pair. And they're seeking 5 million yen each in addition to the injunction. So Palworld developer Pocket Pair has revealed more details on Nintendo and the Pokemon Company's lawsuit against it. The issues stem from 3 patents that are related to gameplay, all of which were initially filed by Nintendo and the Pokemon Company between February and July this year. Palworld was released on January 19th. As announced on September 19th, 2024, the Pokemon Company and Nintendo Company Ltd., hereinafter referred to as the plaintiffs, have filed a patent infringement lawsuit against us. A statement from Pocket Pair reads, We have received inquiries from various media outlets regarding the status of the lawsuit, and we'd like to report the details. So the plaintiffs claims that Palworld, released by us on January 19th, 2024, infringes upon the following 3 patents held by the plaintiffs and are seeking an injunction against the game and compensation for a portion of the damages incurred during the date of registration of the patents and the date filing of this lawsuit. So Pocket Pair then lists the 3 patents said to be affected, then states that Nintendo and the Pokemon Company are each seeking 5 million yen plus late payment fees. We will continue to assert our position in this case through future legal proceedings. So, released in January via Steam Early Access and Xbox Game Preview, the monster-catching survival game was an immediate hit, attracting 25 million players in its first month, according to Pocket Pair. Now, I was seeing some stuff on X talking about how, like, in UK or in US dollars, it's like 62K or something, maybe more. But they were talking about also about, like, they filed a patent like after Palworld did their thing, but then Japan is like, you can use patents from super long ago to then have it be up to be like grandfather clause in or something like that. Legal Mindset might talk about this, but like pretty much it's allowing like patents which really like from years back like can somehow be like, oh yeah, well we had this patent then, even though it may not be specific. It's, I don't know, it was, I couldn't really wrap my head around it. So maybe someone like Legal Mindset could explain it in better terms. But yeah, there's your update about what's happening with Pal World. Kind of sucks. Goes to show how much Nintendo sucks ass. I mean, every game company is assholes in one way, shape, or form. So I found this interesting. This was back in October 31st, and I don't remember if I remember reading about this, but a new study finds that counter to modern industry talking points, women love playing as a highly sexualized character. So that's interesting because that is one of the main talking points about why all this DEI supposedly needs to happen is to stop this sexualized character that portrayal that's being taken place in the industry. And yet it looks like, not only do men like women just because that's our nature, but women also love playing as highly sexualized characters. So for years, the more terminally online among the mainstream Western video game industry, from developers to journalists, even players, have loudly proclaimed that not only are sexualized female characters somehow harmful to society, but actual real-world women also find such designs outright appalling. However, according to new research, these pearl-clutching claims could not be further from the truth. Authored by Ohio State University Assistant Communications Professor Teresa Lynch with help from OSU PhD students Annie Dooley and Matthew R. Erlexben, entitled Examining How Sex Appeal, Cues, and Strength Cues Influence Impressions of Female Video Game Characters, this study sought to examine whether or not a sexualized female character have strong personality traits, as in the Hollywood definition of a strong female character, would help them be more likable by general players. I think it's important to understand how gender socialization, and prejudice like sexism inform video game development and player experiences. Inform? Or whatever. That's her quote, so we're going with it. Said Lynch to SciPost.org's Eric Dolan. So sexism pervades gaming, she argued. For example, game content overwhelmingly features male characters to the exclusion of central female or gendered minoritized characters. Games that do feature female or gendered minoritized characters often unfavorably stereotype, oh my gosh, all these stupid, annoying buzzwords, and objectify these groups. In online gaming experiences, men and boys target women, girls, and gender minoritized individuals with sexist and harassing communications. I want to know more about why, when, and how these kinds of outcomes happen, Lynch added. At the same time, many women and girls and people who identify outside of the binary enjoy gaming a great deal. I count myself among them. Understanding why these people enjoy games in spite of or even because of the challenges sexism presents in gaming is fascinating to me. This study is one part of answering those big questions. To this end, Lynch and her team proceeded to create, as recapped by Dolan, 4 distinct types of female characters using Bandai Namco's Soul Calibur 6. Each character was customized to represent one of 4 combinations of sexualization and strength. High sexualization with high strength, high sexualization with low strength, low sexualization with high strength, and low sexualization with low strength. All right, so Characters designed with high sexualization had features associated with previous research on sexualized portrayals: large, large breast, lower waist to hip ratio, and revealing clothes. He further explained in their methodology, characters with low sexualization cues, on the other hand, displayed more modest proportions and less revealing attire. Strength cues were also manipulated, where high-strength characters were larger, more muscular, and carried bigger weapons. In contrast, low-strength characters had smaller physiques and less imposing weaponry. So, using these creative characters, the team ran two separate experiments. In the first, 239 undergraduate students, all of them between the age of 18 and 51. I don't believe for a second they found a 51er, and a majority of being women, were shown brief gameplay clips of each respective creative character engaging in a fight, and afterwards asking them to rate them across several dimensions, such as perceived sexualization, e.g., if the character's attire seemed revealing, strength, their perceived physical power, femininity, alignment with traditional feminine traits, and likability, how much participants would enjoy playing as a character, as well note whether or not they would ever be interested in actually playing as said CAC in a game. As a result, Lynch's team found that while supposed strength cues, when added to a sexualized character, did little to overwrite said character's sexy perception. At the end of the day, on the other hand, characters with high sexualization were viewed as more traditionally feminine, yet they were also less liked, particularly by female participants. Strength cues, by contrast, did not independently influence likability, they further noted, suggesting that the perception of likability may be more influenced by sexualization cues than by physical strength. But in throwing a wrench into their assumed outcome, the team also discovered that when given the choice, it was actually female players who were more often preferred characters with high feminine traits, typically associated with higher sexualization cues, while men more often picked characters that were strong yet less sexualized. Ooh. Fortunately, rather than view this result as a positive, as in the discussion of over-sexualized characters is all but non-existent, let's move on to a new topic. Lynch instead felt that they instead showed just how ingrained social beauty standards were in the minds of younger women. Wasn't surprised by the fact that participants in our study disliked the sexualized female character, Lynch told Dolan. I think, especially among younger generations who have grown up with social media and intuitively understand how media perpetuates impossible beauty standards, there's increasing scrutiny and critique around sexual objectification. That said, I was surprised to see that in our first study, women still selected the most sexualized character when asked which character they would like to choose, he continued. It's important to remember that this character was also rated as the most feminine, so it's possible that women were just selecting the character they most identified with. Oh my gosh. However, this finding highlights why this research is so important, Lynch continued. If women are conflating sexual appeal with femininity, then can they disassociate those two concepts? And if entertainment media like video games continue to portray female characters by emphasizing sex appeal, how does that shape expectation of women and women's value in society? So with these findings in hand, they conducted a second experiment, this time asking 438 undergraduate students across the same demographics to offer their thoughts on the 4 CACs after playing a match with each of them, rather than just watching clips of them in action. According to their responses, high-strength characters were rated as more competent, but also less warm personalities. Further, female participations viewed high-strength characters as more competent compared to low-strength characters, while this difference was not significant among male participants. This last finding particularly notable because it torpedoes the idea that men do not like strong female characters, instead showing that such qualities are not as important to male players as a given character's personality or playstyle. Holy crap, this just keeps going. All right, so putting a bow on our team's work, Lynch told Dolan that the main takeaway from the study was that playing video games positions people with a different orientation to the content on screen. It can involve you in a way that simultaneously makes you feel like you're part of the content in game that you are the character, she explained. So if you are a character that has attributes that you appreciate and enjoy embodying, then you probably will experience some positive outcome and interpret the experience similarly. And because games require you to engage in action, you may find distinct things enjoyable in games compared to less interactive experiences, like watching movies, said Lynch. Instead of just seeing a hero defeat a horrible villain on screen, you feel part of the experience of vanquishing that villain. That can be really awesome. But if the character has attributes that aren't so great, maybe they are sexually objectified or portrayed as cute but helpless, then that stands to diminish you in the same way that the heroic portrayal elevated you, she further argued. Our findings suggest that people are paying more attention to the powerfulness of female characters who they can play as, whether as this factor was so important when they were just watching the game video. Being able to translate those characteristics. Oh my gosh. Characteristics of the visual portrayal and action, the player was actually shaped the experience. Or actions the player was actually taking shaped the experience. Oh my gosh. One big point is that we know that other content elements such as backstory narrative can influence the way people understand a character's portrayal. The study didn't get at that, so it's possible that if these characters were more fleshed out, that would have affected the results. In the long term, my lab group and I are trying to undergo longer term effects of interaction with female characters in games. We're interested in understanding beyond initial impressions and look at how distinct interactions with characters through story of various modes of play may disrupt or strengthen effects. And then she concluded her thoughts. We're also very interested in understanding the positive impact of female characters on players, not just the drawbacks or negative sides. People play video games because they like them and find the experience entertaining, but also because they have meaningful experiences. We're exploring the side of things because it's all part of the same question. And while Lynch seems dedicated to truly delving into this topic until research aligns with predetermined assumptions for general players, these results should be taken as proof positive that the entire counter debate against sexy female characters is, for the most part, fueled less by reality and more by self-important pearl clutching. There you go. I always like looking at the comments, but holy moly, there you go. Some more ammo in the back pocket. I like it. I like it a lot. So, Dragon Age the Veilguard rumored to have sold less than Star Wars Outlaws. Yep, and this is according to the Golden Joystick Awards. This is Game of the Year material right here. So that is the new rumor, is that it sold less copies than Star Wars Outlaws. So YouTuber Endymion revealed that a source shared with him, gosh, fucking dyslexia, with him that the game has only sold about 500,000 copies, which is just half of what is rumored regarding Star Wars Outlaws. He says, this is from my same source that I shared previous Dragon Age pre-order numbers with, which was in my video a few days back. Apparently, according to them, pre-orders for Veilguard were even less than initially thought. I told you in the last video there were roughly 115,000 total pre-orders across all platforms. That's digital and physical, by the way. And new info that my source has now told me is that these numbers may not have been too high. The number that they are hearing from people at EA now is that it was actually between 70 to 75,000 pre-orders in total before release, which is, yeah, not good at all. In total, what I'm told is that Veilguard may have sold overall so far anyway in the 500,000 range, which may sound good to some, but this is completely abysmal for a game of this level. Oof. I love the hats in old Trump Pepe right there. That's the video. This is from that Park Place, by the way. The other one, this study we read was on bounding into comics, by the way. Not only did he share the game's sales were only around 500,000, but he also revealed that players are refunding the game in droves. Same as The Last of Us Part 2. They don't like to tell you about that one. Endymion states, as I was told by my same source, BioWare's higher-ups believe the game would skyrocket past 100,000 concurrent players on Steam during launch. It didn't, of course. It only hit 89,000 and has dropped since. Apparently, in terms of the EA subscription service, where you pay a monthly fee to play their catalog of games, which Veilguard is a part of, this offer only ended up pulling around 20,000 players on Origin, as I'm told, which is hardly anything for a game that, again, needs far from this to succeed. I'm also told, in terms of refunds, that currently the game had at least 30,000 refunds in the past few days. Yeah, because they probably played it just to see how bad it was and like, all right, we're returning it. Which is not good for your game that had barely sold 500,000 copies to the hemorrhaging players like this. He then shared, so generally speaking, Veilguard is not a commercial success. It needed to sell around 4 to 5 million to make a profit at least. That's the mark. And well, it's not doing that. Womp womp. If this rumor is true, Veilguard is likely selling worse than Star Wars Outlaws. It is rumored that that game sold around 1 million copies in its first month since release. Grant Taylor Hill at Insider Game wrote, we have secured a current sales figure from sources close to the game. As of the time of this writing, Star Wars Outlaws has just ticked over 1 million sales worldwide. So while Dragon Age: The Veilguard has only been out for a week, it would need to double its sales in the next 3 weeks to match Outlaw's rumored first month sales. And there's plenty of evidence to believe that it is not selling well. Endymion notes the game's peak concurrent on Steam only reaches 89,418. And in the past 24 hours, it only reached 53,551. So, yeah, that's like a one-day difference. So another piece of evidence is the fact that BioWare revealed it will not be creating any DLC or expansion from the game, and it's already shifted over to Mass Effect 5. Yeah, we read about this. Yeah, I genuinely believe that they knew this was going to fail because of all the bullshit they did. They went ahead and did it anyway, and then are just wiping their hands from it because they're assholes. Furthermore, BioWare has not made any announcement regarding how well the game's sales have been. This is in comparison to Atlas, who shared the Metaphor Refantasio sold 1 million units in the first 24 hours, and Sparking Zero, that's Dragon Ball Z, sold 3 million units in the first 24 hours. Sparking Zero is amazing. So, like we said, shifting focus to Mass Effect 5. George Yang at Rolling Stone reported on Halloween, with Dragon Age Veilguard now complete, BioWare confirms that there are currently no plans for downloadable expansions. And they shifting over to Mass Effect 5. We've also seen Mass Effect's games director Michael Gamble already doing damage control for his game in the wake of Dragon Age: The Veilguard Beyond. He posted, lots of people asking me about Mass Effect now that Veilguard reviews are out, and October 31st is close. Both are from the studio, but Mass Effect is Mass Effect. How you bring a sci-fi RPG to life is different than any other genres or IPs, and has a different kind of love. In a subsequent post he added, regarding tone questions, Mass Effect will maintain the mature tone of the original trilogy. This is all I'm going to say for now. Well, that's not really reassuring, because who cares if it's mature tone? I mean, Baldur's Gate 3 is mature tone, and that had a bunch of, fornication and debauchery inserted into there. So in response to a user noting that Mass Effect had its fair share of humor and silliness, Gamble replied, serious characters put in some humorous situations. He then addressed the game's art style. One user employed, please don't Pixar me like you guys did with DA. He responded, I'm not sure I agree with the Pixar thing, but Mass Effect is photorealistic and will be as long as I'm running it. Then what do you make of the latest rumor regarding Dragon Age: The Veilguard's sales? I'd probably say it's true, and all the more reason to show that when you do crap like this, it fails. And it needs to fail miserably and continue to fail until the Great Awakening happens. And when you realize, you know what, we should just make good games. We don't need these consulting firms to diversify anything because, one, we can do it ourselves, and two, we can actually make enjoyable good characters. And then, of course, don't cater to, you know, the woke ideology, hive mind retards out there. Because they never liked games to begin with. Or they're tourists. It's one or the other. Or both, actually. Never liked games to begin with. Or they're tourists. It's one or the other. Okie doke. So apparently Rocksteady and Warner Brothers rumored to remake Batman Arkham Asylum after Suicide Squad killed the Justice League's financial disaster. It's rumored to be working on a remake of Arkham Asylum following the financial and creative disaster of Suicide Squad killed the Justice League. The rumor comes from YouTuber Vera Dark, who wrote on X, Rocksteady is adding Deathstroke and the real Batman, the one we originally wanted to see in Suicide Squad killed the Justice League, for the last 2 seasons. It seems they are desperate to get players back in the game, but it's too late. Warner Brothers recently spoke about franchises they like to focus on, and DC, specifically Batman, was mentioned. She continued, the same sources that told me layoffs were incoming months ago, and were correct, tell me they've internally greenlit a remake of Arkham Asylum, and will potentially be continuing the Arkhamverse with the Origins voice cast. They recently got back together and did Arkham Shadows with camouflage. I don't know. If you're remaking an old series, it's probably going to be bastardized in some way, shape, or form. That's unfortunately remakes nowadays. That's just what's going to be. It's going to be destroyed in one way, shape, or form. We always have to have hope, but you know, don't be surprised when it happens. Not the first time we've heard the rumor of Rocksteady returning to Batman. Shape Sold Nick shared that the company was working on the Batman game. Not sure what studio people's dream is, but I heard Rocksteady are back making it, and I also think Sony are trying to money hat it. Lol. In response to another user casting doubt on it being a new game, he replied, not sure why you doubt it, but I heard new game. As noted by Dark, she previously shared back in June, Warner Brothers contemplating shutting down Rocksteady, or at the very least having its employees. While I do not usually speak on insider information I receive, I think this one we all have pieced together ourselves. Warner Brothers is internally talking about closing Rocksteady, or halving their 250 employees after Suicide Squad killed the Justice League bombed. And then just last month, David Zaslav announced it lost them over $200 million. EBITDA year over year, she added. I have heavily covered Warner Brothers games and Kill the Justice League since release because of what it represented for Warner Brothers games and a beloved franchise. When it was greenlit, we were seeing a giant scramble for studios to create live service games, and this one released too late, plus the content did not resonate with players. I mean, yeah. And then Vera continues, Rockstar Studios, or Rockstar, if I say Rockstars, my apologies. Rocksteady Studios co-founders and studio heads also departed the company back in 2022. It's a shell of the company it used to be, and we saw this happen recently with Embracer Group and Volition, company that had 30 years of experience under their belt, and it sounded as though Warner Brothers is planning to pull the plug on Rocksteady too. They have no other games publicly announced, and there does not seem to be any confidence in them anymore. Even back in 2016, when the Arkham VR game that was developed by Rocksteady and the new Batman Arkham Shadow VR game is being done by Camouflage, only time will tell. Doesn't seem like the future is very bright for Rocksteady. And as it would happen, Warner Brother Games began laying off Rocksteady employees in September. Tom Phillips at Eurogamer reported it laid off over half of its quality assurance department, reducing it from 35 to 15. Furthermore, his report claimed that the layoffs affect those outside of quality assurance, as well as having affected individuals across the board, from junior staff and individuals who have been with the company for over 5 years. No surprise. Again, unfortunately for me, it's getting to the point where, yeah, Rocksteady shuts down, so be it. You know, how much money do these companies and studios need to lose before they just wake up? You don't have to cater to people. You don't have to be retarded. Just make good games. Make good games. But the world is healing. World is healing because, democracy was saved as Trump was elected. And, that red wave came in super hot and setting the world straight, or at least staving off the insanity for a little bit. Because keep in mind, according to scripture, it will just get worse. But hopefully, for now, God's judgment on America is possibly staved off a little bit, but it's going to happen regardless. That's the sad thing, because, the end times will happen. But what's also healing too is the fact that Alyssa Mercante is no longer working at Kotaku. So, this weirdo who was a senior editor announced she's leaving Kotaku. In a post to X, she wrote, "Work news. After exactly 2 years, on the dot apparently, I decided to leave Kotaku my role as senior editor. I'm eternally grateful for Kotaku's editorial team and all that they taught me during my time there. Sure, they are some of the best in the business. And I will be forever proud to have shared a masthead with them. They continuously fight to maintain the editorial pillars, but you wouldn't know anything about editorial pillars because you're not a journalist. You suck. That make Kotaku great and hold onto their journalistic integrity." Oh, I was unaware they had integrity. And if they did have integrity, that was like long gone. That could have been back in like 2006, but not anymore. In the face of increasing pressure to compromise that, she added, "It's been a long few months during which I've learned a lot about myself and my value as both a woman and a writer." The fact that you had to put that woman first, writer second, shows that you never cared about it. Because who cares if you're a woman? Just write articles, write news, write game news, play games, review games. She never did. She just wrote hit pieces all the time. And wanting to fight people. Apparently want to fight Melanie Mack again. While hiding behind that block wall. And then having the audacity to be like, "Oh, they never respond to me." It's like, dude, you're a fag. You're like talking shit behind a block. You have to unblock the people you're blocking to type that shit and then immediately reblock it. All because you said like what? "Oh, it's going to be harder for them to, contact me." It's like, well, first off, no one wants to talk to you to begin with because you're a cunt, So, I mean, the narcissism from her is absolutely amazing. "This is the right decision for me. I have some things coming down the pike, so keep your eyes peeled. I most certainly will not. I mean, I'll see it from other people, but I'm not actively going to see what you're doing because I could care less. I just look at what's being talked about when it pops up. Also, kiss my ass. Oh my gosh, what a tough person." In a subsequent post, she claimed her decision to leave the outlet was made before layoffs were announced. "This decision was made before the layoffs, but now I'm even more glad I made it." It's unclear what she's referring to here, but Kotaku laid off staff in November of 2023, with Adweek reporting that 23 individuals were let go just days after its dismissed editorial director, Meryl Brown. Spokesman of Kotaku's parent company, Geo Media, confirmed the layoffs. While Geo Media is a lean, nimble organization, we are not immune to the economy headwinds rattling our business. Won't. As for what Mercante has coming down the pike, probably, OnlyFans? Because that's apparently the only thing you can do that some people out there could possibly partake in. YouTuber Hypnotic predicted she most likely will be a DIY consultant for Sweet Baby Inc., the company she ran damage control for. So, Alyssa Mercante has been fired / supposedly left Kotaku. Yeah, I'm guessing she was let go and to, pretty much pulled the mental gymnastics on herself, said, no, you can't fire me because I'm leaving. It's, you see people do that all the time. She claims she has something in the works, and she's currently traveling to Montreal, Canada, and that is where Sweet Baby Inc. is located. Well, I mean, it is quite interesting, that's for sure. Mercante did recently share that she was at Compulsion Games, which is located in Montreal, Canada, the same city where Sweet Baby Inc. is located. Furthermore, Sweet Baby Inc. is consulting on South of Midnight, which is currently being developed for Compulsion Games. There you go. So despite Mercante's touting journalistic integrity in her post about leaving Kotaku, she infamously ran cover for Sweet Baby Inc. back in March and made it a point not to include the fact that Sweet Baby Inc. employees attempted to harass Brazilian gamer Cabrutus Rambo, get his Sweet Baby Inc. detected Steam curator list shut down, and get his entire Steam account banned. Yeah, because she's the bitch. Rather, she painted Sweet Baby Inc. as the victims. They're the victims, and a harmless design company, despite Sweet Baby Inc. CEO Kim Belair, sharing in 2019 that employees at large AA, well, at this point they might as well be AA because they're acting like it, AAA studios should terrify executives with social media cancel mobs. Yes, and we've read that. Yeah, go ahead, Martin. Yeah, terrify them with the possibility of what's going to happen if they don't give you what you want. No, yeah, we've read this quote before, so. Oh, that's pretty much the end of it. Well, that was just padding at the end here, that Park Place. So it's also a valid discussion to have because if you're working with the thin air to budget and whatever, doesn't really matter. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised that, Sweet Baby Inc. asked her to come, I don't know, be a consultant or something. Whatever bullshit she always does. But yeah, I've been seeing pictures of like her responding, talking shit, Smash JT, Melanie Mac, all that stuff, like behind the block. Then going like, oh, these guys never, respond to me and stuff. It's like, well, you're behind a block. Like, can't really respond when you're being a little pussy about it. And didn't Endymion, I think Endymion said, like, I'll identify as a woman for now. Let's meet up when she, like, wanted to fight Melanie Mac again. And then, of course, she cried victim. But, of course, with Vera, oh, no one can come with you. You just show up, and then we'll take care of everything. It's like super sus. Well, good riddance to bad rubbish. The world is healing. She can go put out a fire with her face, for all I care. So let's end this night by taking a look at what games were released today. So, November 8th, Counter-Strike was released 24 years ago. Ooh, Dragon Ball Z Legendary Super Warriors. Good game. 22 years ago. Very good game. Kind of hard, but good. Hey, Mario Tennis. Power Tennis, even. I played that. Oh, that's for GameCube. I played the Game Boy Advance version, but that's still good. Still good. Ooh, Fatal Frame 3: The Torment. I have all the Fatal Frame games. I need to play those. Dude, Gun. Dude, solid list. Solid list today. Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire. Suikoden Tactics. Mario Party DS. Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3, the Metal Gear Solid HD collection for 360 and Xbox 360. Or wait, for PlayStation 3 and 360. Wait. Oh, collection and HD edition. Don't know what. Okay, there must be. I think there are different games on there. But good. You have your Death Stranding. That was already 5 years ago. Man. Oh, my goodness gracious. How time flies. Moby Games expands the list. Oh, my gosh. The Ninja for Sega Master System was released. You have your tag team match Muscle. What the fuck is a muscle? That's an irate gamer. Disney's DuckTales 2 was released for the Game Boy, the Netherlands. That's cool. Doop. Resident Evil Survivor 2 Code Veronica. Interesting. Gun's a great game. I love Gun. I'm glad they had a code that allow you to restart it all over, but it does suck when like you get to the end and you pretty much can't do anything. Ooh, Beautiful Joe, Red Hot Rumble. Show me your moves. Metroid Prime 3 Corruption, apparently, in Australia for the Wii. Very good, very good. Jaws Ultimate Predator. Who knows? For Nintendo 3DS and the Wii. Who knows and how good it was. Angry Birds Star Wars 2, apparently. Cool. And you can do better, like, for the games that we already listed earlier. A lot of good stuff. Yeah, I'm not really seeing anything else. I did find this one, too. On this day, got Invents in Film and TV. World's first arcade video game computer space developed by Zizigi. First demonstrated at the MOA show in the U.S. Got Pong, the Atari 20. Well, this is September. Oh, this doesn't seem right. On this day. That's weird. I should have looked better. But anyway, that's all I have for tonight, folks. So thanks for hanging out. If you enjoyed it, make sure to hit that like and subscribe button. Turn on notifications to get notified when I go live. We are on YouTube, Rumble, and X. I'm going to be bouncing for tonight. Tomorrow, we'll probably play some more Bayonetta. Going to be fun. Going to be exciting. Anyway, you guys have a good rest of your night. Take care. God bless. And I will catch you guys on the flip side. Peace.